June 6th, 1944, 05:20 hours. Off Arromanches on the Normandy coast. Dawn runs like cold fire along a ragged line of gray hulls nosing through the swell, tugs straining on hawsers that creak like old trees. Up on the chalk bluff, a German observer blinks against the wind and writes the same sentence he has written for months. No deep-water pierheads, no port, only sand. Two truths share the hour. Reconnaissance still swears there are no docks in the assault area, and the Allies are already towing two of them across the channel. Here's the promise: a numbers first breakdown of Mulberry A and Mulberry B, the artificial harbors that turned open beaches into throughput machines. We'll map the kit: Phoenix caissons, whale floating roadways, Spud pierheads, beetle pontoons, bombardon breakwaters, gooseberry blockship lines. Clock the build under fire, ride through the 1922 June storm that destroyed Mulberry A off Omaha, and show how Arromanches, Mulberry B, bent but didn't break and kept the breakout fed. If tight, evidence-driven logistics stories help you, stick with me. Let's build a port where no port exists. Start with the physics the sea respects. Big waves die on big walls, and Phoenix caissons are big walls. Each Phoenix is a hollow, cellular, reinforced concrete giant. Valves, pumps, compartmentalized guts, towed light, sunk heavy, and immovable once ballasted down. Tugs bring them in on marks set by surveyors with theodolites and prayer. Divers run the bottom like foremen. Valves open. Water hammers into the chambers. The box settles true and becomes coastline. Outside that line, bombardon rafts. Great cruciform steel floats on chain and seamanship. Knock the top out of the swell before it reaches the wall. Inside the new, quiet lagoon, whale roadways go together like Meccano on a deadline. Standardized lattice girders pinned into spans, each riding on beetle pontoons that spread load and let the roadway flex with wave set. At the business end sits the Spud, a self-leveling pierhead on four tubular legs that walk with the tide. Hydraulic shoes grip, the head lifts, the tide turns, the head settles, staying level without ripping joints or shearing pins. Ships don't need a key if the key comes to them. Verdict meme. Don't capture a port, assemble one. Numbers matter. A single Spud pierhead can keep coasters and LSTs turning continuously. 2 or 3 heads split flows, stores on one, vehicles on another. So routing never snarls the pier. Early cycles look like awkward dances. One Liberty ship inching in, booms creaking. But crews learn fast. Throughput climbs from hundreds of truck equivalents per tide to thousands of tons per day as foremen enforce calm rules. Loop the slings, not the hope. Nets full, not heroic. No idle pier time. The Gooseberry, old freighters and liners scuttled bow to bow, Greek and Norwegian names leaning forever into the tide, throws generous lee for LCTs and barges, turning chaos into queues. And queues are gold in logistics. They convert random arrivals into predictable work. By D+5, both Mulberries are half alive. By D+8, the whales carry jeeps, dozers, and crates stamped AMM 105 meter by Soichi and rations 10 in 1. By D+10, beach parties have widened exits, laid Sommerfeld matting across soft ground, and painted one-way circuits, so a landing ground becomes a road network that never blocks itself. Mini-hook. When parts speak the same language, the sea starts to listen. Zoom out, and you see cadence as the real weapon. Tug schedules, convoy timing, weather windows, baked into the plan so 100+ Phoenixes, miles of whale, and dozens of bombardons arrive in an order a tired lieutenant can assemble with a pencil, a watch, and a checklist. Beachmasters run the shoreline like traffic cops at rush hour. Coxswains learn the Spud kiss, just enough throttle to nudge steel into steel without dents or drama. UKWs waddle barrels inland. Rhino ferries push trucks through ugly surf. If a whale span tears at dawn, another drops in before noon mess. Logistics isn't a miracle, it's standardized parts meeting standardized habits. Verdict meme. Logistics is buying time at compound interest, then the channel assigns homework. 1922 June 1944. The barometer drops, wind claws round to the west, fetch builds until the sea stands up and hits. This isn't a poetic gale, it's a bully with a ledger. Mulberry A off Omaha takes it nose on. Bombardons drag anchors and go adrift. Chains become flails. Phoenixes take the hammer side on as the angle shifts. Whale spans twist. Beetles swamp. Spud legs rack under cyclic loads the drawings never promised to survive. Within 48 hours, the American harbor is less a port than a cautionary tale. Brilliant ideas proved in action, then overmatched by weather and smashed into teachable pieces. Arromanches is no idol either. Mulberry B groans, loses spans, but keeps breathing. Phoenixes still stand in a staggered wall. Spuds still step. Whales flex and carry. Mini-hook. Failure is data when your system doesn't drown. Verdict meme. Depth is what keeps broken from meaning stopped. The payoff reads in tonnage, not adjectives. With one Mulberry gone, the British harbor's daily lift climbs back into the high thousands, 7,000 to 9,000 tons on good spells, and across June to late August pushes several 100,000 tons ashore. Ammo by the crate and pallet, pole in cans and flex tanks, rations by the load, vehicles from jeeps to wreckers. Pair that flow with beechcraft techniques perfected since North Africa. Rhino ferries shunting loads, UKWs taking barrels straight to inland dumps, causeways carved through shingle, and you get the only graph that matters. Divisions topped up, artillery never dry, engineers fed steel and timber, armored brigades fueled to turn hedgerows from puzzles into memories. The storm didn't cancel D-Day. It graded designs. Lessons filed, the work resumed. By mid-July, Arromanches feels less like a miracle than a habit. A liberty eases alongside a Spud. Nets swell with ration boxes and mortar rounds. A dozer coughs and clanks down a whale, its tracks thumping cross ties that bounce and take the weight. Cherbourg will help. Later. Right now, a floating port is doing adult work. German staff officers who wrote "no ports" in May find themselves writing "delays in redeployment" in June, because a battlefield that's fed is a battlefield that's learning to move. Clear a few myths. No, mulberries weren't indestructible. The sea made that clear. No, beaches didn't go obsolete because one harbor lived. They got better because one harbor made every other hour count. The parts weren't magic. They were standardized. Pins were pins. Bolts were bolts. Drawings were drawings. The brilliance wasn't inventing alien hardware. It was making kit sailors could tow, soldiers could assemble, and weather could bruise without killing. If you want a crisp takeaway, take this. The Germans equated no port with no tempo. The Allies answered by towing tempo across the channel. Verdict meme. Ports are power. Portable ports are policy. Picture one last frame from the head of a whale. The wind is still mean, but a little less loud. A sergeant with a clipboard and a pencil that's been behind his ear calls truck numbers down the span. A beachmaster's voice fights the surf. A tug's bell double clangs, and a Spud kisses steel with the softest noise a harbor makes. On the bluffs, the German observer finally stops writing "no port," because even binoculars can't argue with a Liberty ship unloading 20 feet from yesterday's postcard beach. If this breakdown helped, numbers first, myths second, tell me in the comments which piece did the most work. The Phoenix wall that made a sea into a pond. The whale roads that turned surf into street. Or the Spud brain that kept a pier level on a living ocean. What should we decode next? Pluto's seabed fuel math, or the rail build that turned a beachhead into a rolling front?